Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed.
Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. The Octa research group said it is possible for the areas in the NCR Plus to shift to the Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, or MECQ, next week. Dr. David Guido, Octa Research Fellow, said that his team is projecting the reproduction rate to reach 1.2 or even 1.1 or 1 by the end of the week. As of Monday, April 5, the reproduction rate in the NCR is already at 1.53. Guido, however, said they can still reevaluate at the end of the week to see if their projections will be met. In case the reproduction number does not go down to 1.2 or lower, Guido said it would be hard to relax restrictions. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque, on a television interview, said an ECQ extension in the NCR Plus is unlikely. Roque also bared that the government is eyeing to place the areas within the bubble under the less restrictive MECQ. Quarantine facilities for coronavirus disease patients in the National Capital Region are now 75% full. Isolation SAR and Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark A. Villar made the revelation on Tuesday, April 6, during the Laging Handa virtual press briefing. The figure is more than a 10 percentage point uptick from the 64.48% occupancy rate that Villar reported on March 29. Villar said that the occupancy level nationwide was a more manageable 15%, roughly the same rate he reported last week. The country is grappling with an alarming surge in COVID-19 cases that has mostly been evident in the NCR. The region, along with nearby provinces Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite, and Rizal, have been under an enhanced community quarantine since March 29. Villar, in the same interview, said that the 110-bed modular hospital for COVID-19 patients at the Quezon Institute would finally be opened. He promised that more modular hospitals would be constructed in the coming days to address worries on the occupancy rates. The Philippine Red Cross said that the failure of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation to settle its remaining balance continues to impede its operations, especially at a time when the country sees a surge in COVID-19 cases. PRC Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Senator Richard Gordon said in a statement issued on Tuesday, April 6, that the continued failure of the state health insurer to fully settle its obligations is hurting the PRC's operations, especially with the humanitarian organization about to set up isolation centers in schools with beds, showers, bath and food, where asymptomatic spreaders can stay comfortably for the duration of their quarantine period. Gordon noted that the asymptomatic spreader, most of whom are people who go out to work, should be pulled out of their multi-generation households to prevent the spread of the virus. At the same time, Gordon noted that the families they left behind will also be provided with sufficient supplies because no one would provide for them while their breadwinner is on quarantine. Meanwhile, Gordon noted that the total amount due from the PhilHealth would go a long way in sustaining the PRC's COVID-19 pandemic operations. As of April 5, Gordon said PhilHealth's total balance to PRC is 876,048,574 pesos. With the exponential surge in COVID-19 cases prompting a return to the enhanced community quarantine of the NCR Plus due to the overwhelmed healthcare system, he pointed out that the amount would have helped PRC alleviate the suffering of a greater number of the most vulnerable residents, especially in conducting more COVID-19 tests. The Office of the Vice President is embarking on what it called Bayanihan e-consulta program, which aims to set up an e-consultation system for outpatient cases within the NCR Plus bubble to decongest the surge of patients in hospitals and clinics. In a Facebook post on Monday night, Vice President Lenny Robredo made a call to volunteer doctors and telephone operators. The doctors must be available to do phone consultations for outpatient cases within NCR and surrounding areas covered by the ECQ, while the telephone operators will receive and process requests concerning outpatient cases residing in NCR and surrounding areas covered by the ECQ, then match them with volunteer doctors for phone consultations. The post from the OVP said the telephone operators are preferred to have backgrounds in nursing or other health professions, even if they are no longer working in the healthcare industry. Robredo admitted that there were apprehensions within her staff about the program because of the limitations of their resources and the idea that it might raise expectations. The Vice President and her team consulted with doctors and experts over the Holy Week before coming out with this newest program. Recognizing that her office cannot provide hospital beds or build field hospitals, Robredo harnessed the Bayanihan spirit that Filipinos are known for. Robredo said this is to answer the calls of many on social media about patients not being able to find a hospital that can accommodate them because the facilities in NCR are in full capacity. Robredo promised more information for the volunteers and the public in the days to come. In Metro News, over 55,000 register for San Juan City vaccination. 1 week extension of ECQ can help slow down COVID-19 infections, according to Mayor Isko. And Pasig City gives free rides to seniors scheduled for COVID-19 vaccination. More from this report.
A total of 55,174 individuals have registered for San Juan City vaccination program, according to the City Public Information Office. The number of registrants is equivalent to 66.61% of the local government's target population of 85,400,000 or 70% of the city's total population to achieve herd immunity. Meanwhile, San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora said the city was chosen by the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, to be the pilot city for its vaccination registration program. The ICT's program aims to help streamline the vaccine registration process of San Juan and further boost the speed of updating records of vaccinated residents, which will then be sent to the Department of Health for real-time tallying. Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso said that 1 week extension of the Enhanced Community Quarantine, or ECQ, will help slow down the alarming increase in COVID-19 infections in Greater Manila area. On March 29, Dumagoso said the ECQ can be extended if it's needed to curb the alarming increase in COVID-19 cases in the country. Dumagoso assured his constituents that they will receive a monthly food subsidy for the city government with or without the quarantine categorization. The city government launched on February 20 its COVID-19 food security program, which aims to give 700,000 families a monthly food subsidy and to help curb hunger in the city amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The city government of Pasig is providing free transportation to senior citizens who are set to be vaccinated against COVID-19. In a Facebook post, Pasig Transport said the city has mobilized community buses for the convenience and safety of seniors. The city government kicked off the free rides for seniors on Monday, April 5. Per Pasig Transport, the community buses will be available from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Pasig City government reminded passengers to always wear face masks and face shields, especially when they are aboard the community buses. Mayor Vico Soto appealed to the city residents for patience due to the limited supply of AstraZeneca vaccines for seniors.
Here are the latest news in other parts of the country. Taal volcano's increased unrest continues. Negros Occidental City closes resorts, parks as COVID-19 cases surge. And 9 NPA surrenderers in Sultan Kudarat vow never to join the NPA again. Here are the details.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology on Tuesday, April 6 said only 4 low-frequency earthquakes were recorded at Taal volcano in the past 24 hours, but the active volcano remains under alert level 2 due to continued unrest. PHIVOLCS added that ground deformation parameters continued to indicate a very slow and steady inflation and expansion of the Taal region after the January 2020 eruption. This may indicate an increased magmatic activity at shallow depths beneath the edifice. Taal volcano will remain under alert level 2, but unrest has been elevating and is under constant evaluation. Its alert level has been raised from 1 to 2 on March 9, 2021. Resorts and parks in San Carlos City, Negros Occidental have been closed to the public indefinitely amid the surge in local cases of coronavirus disease in recent weeks. Data released by the Provincial Incident Management Team showed that San Carlos City, the province's northernmost locality, still has the highest number of active COVID-19 cases in Negros Occidental as of April 4 with 119 cases. In Mayor Renato Gustilo's executive order, operations of all resorts and recreational parks starting April 2 are suspended, including holding of events and activities. He also ordered that recreational areas within the resorts should be closed to avoid the gatherings of individuals. 9 combatants of the New People's Army operating in the mountains of Sultan Kudarat province have surrendered to the military and vowed never to be duped again by the communist terrorist group. According to the Philippine Army's 603rd Infantry Brigade, the rebels were convinced to return to the fold of the law following weeks of negotiations. The rebels who surrendered on Monday afternoon were said to be members of Militia ng Bayan and were brainwashed into joining the communist terrorist group. They surrendered to clear their names from any involvement with the group and to start living again a peaceful life with their families. The surrendered individuals will be enrolled under the government's Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program to reintegrate themselves into mainstream society and are given support and livelihood packages.
In world news, Putin signs law allowing him to serve 2 more terms. Vietnam's pandemic response leader sworn in as president. And Golden Parade carries pharaohs to new home in the Egyptian capital. Let's watch this report.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday gave final approval to the legislation allowing him to hold office for 2 additional 6-year terms, opening the possibility for him to stay in power until 2036. Putin proposed the change last year as part of constitutional reform that Russia overwhelmingly backed in a vote in July. Lawmakers approved the bill last month. The legislation will reset presidential terms limit, allowing Putin to run in elections again after his current and second consecutive term expires in 2024. Russia voted yes or no to the entire bundle of amendments in vote last summer that was held over the course of a week, in a move the authorities said was aimed at limiting the spread of the coronavirus, but critics said left the process open to manipulation. The man behind Vietnam's successful handling of the coronavirus pandemic, Nguyen Xuan Phuc, was formally sworn in as president in Hanoi on Monday. 66-year-old Phuc was Vietnam's prime minister for the last 5 years, a period in which the economy boomed and his government's COVID-19 response won plaudits at home and abroad. Phuc was the only candidate nominated for president, as Trong, who had held the presidency since 2018 after the sudden death of his predecessor, stepped down. The National Assembly said earlier was the first time ever a prime minister was nominated to a position of president. After his swearing in, Phuc told the nation that he was lucky and honored to be given the position, which is now only second to Trong in the power escalator. A procession of floats carried the mummified remains of 22 pharaohs, including Egypt's most powerful ancient queen, through Cairo Saturday evening in an eye-catching parade to a new resting place. Under hefty security, the mummies were driven on floats 7 kilometers across the capital, from the iconic Egyptian Museum to the new National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. Dubbed the Pharaoh's Golden Parade, the 18 kings and 4 queens traveled in order, oldest first, each aboard in separate vehicle decorated in ancient Egyptian style. The mummies entered the grounds on a new museum to a 21-gun salute after slightly shorter than expected journey time of around half an hour. Emblazoned with the name of their allocated sovereign, the gold and the black-colored carriages were fitted with shock absorbers for the trip to ensure none of the precious cargoes were accidentally disturbed by uneven surfaces.
In entertainment, following the 100% acquisition by Hybe, formerly Big Hit Entertainment, of Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings, K-pop artists BTS and 17 have welcomed Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, and J Balvin into the family. Hybe acquired Ithaca Holdings through its subsidiary Big Hit America. Under Ithaca Holdings are Brown's artists, namely K-pop star CL, Psy, Carly Rae Jepsen, Black Eyed Peas, and Idina Menzel. BTS's J-Hope shared that he hopes that they can grow and share positive influence with all the other artists that have become part of the family. Artists Justin Bieber, J Balvin, and Demi Lovato also congratulated Hybe and Scooter Braun for the acquisition and are thrilled at the potential alliance of all the artists involved. In sports, North Korea announced that they will not attend this year's Tokyo Olympics because of the coronavirus pandemic. At a meeting, North Korea's Olympic Committee decided not to participate in the 32nd Olympic Games in order to protect players from the world public health crisis caused by COVID-19. This puts an end to Seoul's hopes of using the Games to restart talks with its nuclear-armed neighbor. The announcement, dated Monday, reported a meeting of the National Olympic Committee on March 25. Pyongyang is subject to multiple international sanctions over its banned weapons programs and is more isolated than ever before after imposing a strict border lockdown more than a year ago in an effort to protect itself from the virus that first emerged in neighboring China and went on to sweep the world. Before we end our broadcast today, we would like to pay tribute to Manila Bulletin's Editor-in-Chief, Mr. Crispulo Julio Icban Jr., who passed away yesterday, April 5, at the age of 85. He was a former press secretary and a veteran newsman. Icban was the editor-in-chief for the last 18 years and devoted 47 years of his career in journalism at the Manila Bulletin. He was named press secretary by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo in 2010. He worked as editorial consultant at the Manila Bulletin in 1974 and was later named news editor. In 2003, he was appointed editor-in-chief of the Manila Bulletin, and in 2020 was named concurrent publisher and editor-in-chief. Meanwhile, Malacanang has expressed sympathies over the passing of Jun Icban Jr.
Nakikiramay po kami sa pamilya, kasamahan at mahal sa buhay sa pagpanaw po ni dating Press Secretary, Manila Bulletin Editor-in-Chief at Publisher, veteran journalist Crispulo Jun Icban.
Icban, a fatherly figure in the Manila Bulletin's central news desk, will surely be missed. Farewell, Sir Jun, and thank you. And those are the news on web today, April 6, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph. You may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.